What's going on, guys? It's G with Test Bros, and today we have a Model 3 with a performance bumper for the 2024. But when you first look at this bumper, the biggest difference from a standard bumper, which is the rear-wheel drive or long-range drive, is going to be this scoop right here. Okay, it's much more aggressive when it goes in. So what that means is you do need to pull in a lot of that material towards that, which would cause a little bit of a challenge for, I think, some people. So right here, there is a body line right here that goes all the way across. There's also a body line that goes right here, that naturally goes here. So as a wrapper, you look for those things, and you would inlay right here. But inlay is what we refer to as you inlay a piece of vinyl prior to doing the whole piece right here, right? So there are obviously ways you could definitely pull, stretch, and really get into that. But for us, I think it's more about longevity, but also making sure it holds so it doesn't pull back. You know, vinyl typically when it's stretched, it does have a good amount of stretchability. But if you stretch too much in a certain direction, it will actually do something, it pull back when there's extreme heat. So you want to make sure that the material is as relaxed as possible. And another pros to that is this part of the bumper right here gets a lot of damage. So if you have vinyl and it's not paint protection film, it can kind of speckle here in these cases. So it's really nice when you have an inlay because you literally could just remove that and then replace it in the future as well. And if you're wondering why this is off color, or if you didn't notice that, now you do. And the reason why is this is actually an unpainted bumper, right? So it's not actually matched. But for us, it doesn't matter. We're going to wrap it anyway, so no problem for us at all. We're not going to finish the whole thing, but I think it'll give a really good introduction to how we would wrap this bumper right here. So let's get started in laying down all the knifeless tape. Just go on the floor. We typically would jack this up, but we got a lot of other projects that we need, so we decided not to. But what you would do is just follow that body line. You see how I'm adding a lot of tension? Okay, so check this out. Okay, check this out. I got my knifeless on, and then we're gonna do the inlay. So knifeless tape, this is from 3M, and this is really cool because it has this kind of like fish line almost thinness, but you can pull it and it'll cut it. I'll show you in a second. But this is called the design line. I love using this line instead of finish line or other ones. But it just means that you don't have to blade on a car. And then this is what it'll look like right here. So I got it kind of to size. And we're just gonna focus on the line right here. I got that all squeeze it out. And then I do have a squeegee right here. So once you have that, we can actually use some heat. Kind of relax the film a little bit. Awesome. And then let's feed that into this valley over here. Okay. Okay, I'm right there at the line, so that's good. And then I'm getting a little bit of wrinkles, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start heating this up. This is good. This relaxes the film, so it's easier to work with. You want some tension, but not too much. So when I get to this term, I think also professionals use, is called bridging. You don't want to bridge it between A and B point, because if you do that, what happens is you create too much tension down the middle, right? So when you create too much tension, what happens? It fails over time. So you want to do minimal amount of bridging. So that's why right now, instead of bridging it, I'm feeding into these valleys. Okay, so I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to use a wrap glove in a second. And then I have a little bit too much material and it really just stops right here. So I can just go ahead and cut this. So here we go. We want to make sure that no bridging happens right here. And then I'm almost at the end of here. I want to continue to feed that in. So one of the ways I think, how can I improve this? So after this video, we're actually going to design a template for this. So I never have to do this again. I love using Knifeless tape. This is an amazing tool. However, what if there was a template where it's already made? You'd have to do anything that you just see right here. And that's what we do with all our other cars that we work on. So we're going to do the exact same thing on this one. I'm going to create a template, and then we obviously also turn that into products all the time. And that's kind of how majority of our products are made. So there you go. Kind of like an R&D. I'm going to relieve this right here. There's a lot of tension. And then once you relieve that, you can see it rests there a lot easier. Boom. And then same thing here. Okay, so obviously I have a lot of excess right here. We're going to go ahead and just chip that away. And I can relax this right here and just continue. So now that I have this all laid out, here's what happens next. You create a relief just like that. And then once you create a relief, I'm going to relief this one as well. So there's an exit point. And then you see here, I'm going to try to show you guys the best way I can. I try to find a flat ground like here. And you hold it with your thumb and then you pull. And look at that string. Okay? And then when it's suspended in air like this, it can be dangerous. But you just want to hold it and pinch it right there where it starts. And then you just pull all the way out. And then look at that. That's your first pull. And then after that, you just want to make sure that you heat all that area. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. You could also just hold it like this. You do all the edges again. Just like that. With the understanding that there's going to be inlay, then you could just do a nice simple knife cut. Some excess. You want to make sure you trim this inside. I'm just going to go ahead and do it right away. There is a line. And I just put it in between this. This is like a plastic trim and the actual bumper so that you can really get a nice clean cut like that. But before we do the other side, you're going to have to do the same thing. But this time, you're going to have to lay Knifeless over here. You want to go a little bit inside because unlike PPF, this should overlap, okay? So I'm just going to follow this line best as I can. Want to also put it right here inside. I like to kind of tuck this away because what happens is we're going to bulk this, right? So you're going to have a lot of material. So you want to tuck it away in all this area because what will happen is it'll grab that corner and then now you're screwed because when you're like, you know, pulling the bumper across, it might pull your Knifeless apart. So we're going to be doing the exact same thing on the other side. So we have the inlays on and now we have to stretch the bumper. And one tip, pro tip, if you are stretching a bumper, make sure you have wheel covers. The wheel and the tires are just probably the dirtiest area. So cover that up, and then once you cover it up, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna do a solo. So if I had another person on the other side, it'd be a lot easier, and one person can be like stretching. But we're gonna do a solo one, which is gonna be a little bit more interesting, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down. This is why it's so important when you're wrapping, wrappers, like professionals, 100% they should have this on the lift. Just imagine how close you are to the garage floor and it's just getting crazy dirty. This is a demo. So again, that's why we don't have it lifted. There you go. It's a little bit better. All right, so here's what we're gonna be doing. So we're just gonna go ahead, and since again this is solo, we're just gonna go inside out. I'm just gonna go ahead and heat this middle right here. We are going to stretch it across now, and I'm kind of working it off in sections. So I started out kind of right there, and then we're gonna just pull it across all of this. So the really cool thing about vinyl is, like, let's say you have this wrinkle right here, look at this. This goes away. All right, so what we're gonna do now, the whole goal right here is going to be evenly heating across this way. Okay, that's really important. If you do it this way, if you do it too much at the bottom, then too much at the bottom is gonna stretch, and then if you do it too much at the top, then you know, the top is gonna stretch too much. So what you're just gonna try to do is heat evenly across. Okay, so the challenge right here is I have a lot of material. So actually, okay, all right. So now I want to try keep that heat gun moving, and I'm mostly concerned about this area right here. So I'm going to give it a good amount of heat. More so right here. And again, trying to be even. And then at this point, you're just going to pull hard. Look at this. And voila. All right, so look at how the bumper is going this way, the lines now. Okay, I stretch it pretty aggressively, I heated it. This is where I needed it, and everything is pulling that way, and that's really what you want. And if you notice, this is where I started my bumper. So now, check this out. I could relax it. I'm not even pulling. I'm literally just letting that go. I'm just relaxing the film right here. Same thing here. And everything just kind of goes in. These are easy because we can just get it out in multiple ways. So I'm going to go ahead and get it up to here. Okay, so same thing on this side, guys. You're really just trying to heat up as evenly as you can. So once you're here, you're just gonna put all your weight, pull it, just like that. You can release that as well. That's not really a concern. And then we're all good. All right, so we are going to do the same thing here. We're gonna relax this area. Just letting the film relax and get it back to zero, right? And by doing that, it cups it even more. All right, so now we can start squeegeeing things. You know, you can use a wrap glove at this point because your hands and palms are a lot more conforming to spaces like here. So you could just kind of use the heat. Look at that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the other side later too. Also use your palm. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get it down to about here. And there is, what is it called? A tow hook right here. Cool. All right, so I already took out this tow hook right here. So we are good. So I don't need all this material either, so we could kind of lighten the load a little bit. All right. So I want to show you a little bit more in detail how we would actually tackle right here, because I think the most complex area is going to be this area. And look, there's going to be, like I said many times, there's going to be a lot of different ways you could do it. But this is the way I would tackle it. So we have all of this top part kind of squeegeed out. We're going to go ahead and now focus on right here. And all I'm going to focus on is getting it down to this body line, okay? Just like that. That's all I'm focusing on. Sweet. Okay, so now, before I do that too, one thing that I do want to do is I want to relax the film over here, okay? Before I squeegee everything. So, now that we have it here, okay, the goal is going to be, there's going to be an overlap that goes all the way in, right there, but about, I would say 3 to 4 inches, you're going to make a cut right underneath this body line, and it's going to hide it really, really well. Okay, and you're going to make a little loop-de-loop. This is very similar to the previous gen bumper as far as how you do that. And then if you recall, so I'm going to go ahead and carefully rip it all the way to here. In this case, there is a knifeless right under that. So I want to go ahead and kind of pop this up, right? I'm going to go ahead and split this up. There we go. So now this is free for that back side. But here, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be pulling it, right, across. Because this is too short. It's about this too short. And it's because there's just not a lot of material right there. So you really need to feed that in. But what we're doing is we can now, since we have a little bit of leeway, we can keep this up right here. And then just focus on, and it's going to be close, but if you do it, you should be able to pull it out all the way. Okay, and then this is still free. So then we can heat this up, relax this tension all across here. Relax that in. So look at that. Release. And now you can see that there should be a line that goes right here and then exits right there, and you can see that line. That's what I was trying to do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the knifeless tape. Kind of like what we did. You're just going to open this up first, create an opening, right where it starts right here. Then I have my knifeless tape tucked in all the way here nicely. And I probably should have made this slightly longer, but it's okay. Hold this, go all the way out, boom. And then you got your piece, and then you also want to heat this area right here. And seam that. So one tip about the seam too is the direction of the seam does matter a lot. So if you notice, this goes on top. So what that means is if you put the inlay after this, then the adhesive part is going to stick up and you're going to see that line a lot more visibly. And then from here on out, I think it's a little bit more straightforward because, again, that's the most difficult part. Okay, and then, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this out, squeegee all this out. So clean, so easy at this point. No tension all the way across. Okay. So that pretty much sums it up. I mean, again, this isn't the only way you can do this. There's so many different ways, and that's what makes it really fun about wrapping. A lot of times what we do is we leave about 1 inch and then we tuck in all the way. Most of the time when we're doing a bulk bumper, we do remove the bumper. This is actually already removed. All you need to do is just pull it back and it'll come out, right? So nothing is connected right now. So other areas is what most people do is they start trimming a little of these areas. And you want to make sure that it's not sitting on the light or anything like that. So we're just doing all the trimming, like so. And then we're going to start removing it so that it's not actually sticking on any of the panels, right? So that's if your bumper is out, like ours, that's how you would do it. So a lot of people don't as well. So what they would actually do is they would get masking tape, so like green tape, and they would put it in like the headlights, at least 1 or 2 layers on it, and they would actually cut on it. So if we were to do that, you would just cut, you know, just a little bit, you know, just like this. And then the main thing too is a lot of these corners. Look at that. And then like I said earlier, the light really gets sticky, just so you guys know. But popping that, it goes in real deep right there. So look at that. And then you can use a tucking tool. So we have things like this. So a lot of our do-yourself kits, we provide all these tools. And then you could actually use this and then tuck all the way. Look at that. And once you tuck it, you don't see any of the previous color. This is going to be a lot easier to do off, or at least loosened up. There is a lot of material that needs to go underneath the headlights. You really don't want to cut short. What happens, you'll see that previous color. This right here, this is a fun one. And then you just heat it. I know we didn't finish necessarily the bumper, but you know, hopefully you learned a thing or two while you saw us kind of tackle some of the scoops. Those are typically the more difficult parts. All the other areas are pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. We really appreciate you watching our content. Give us a subscribe, and we'll see you later.